Alright guys, Guns and Tactics with Larry Lasky of FrogLube and Chris Costa of Ludus.
I think one of the great things is that Costa Ludus becomes more of a test bed for the different types of products that they do, before they go and throw them. We're in cold climates now that I moved to Wyoming, so it's down to -11, I think 2 weeks ago when I left, which was horrible. So constantly working those temperatures and making sure that the product's performing the way FrogLube originally tried to design it for.
Yeah, FrogLube was designed to be in compliance with the military tech manuals. So as long as you're using the product in compliance with the M4, M16, and 1911A1 platforms, basically you're stripping the guns, you're ridding it of any excess lube in the wintertime, and then you don't really need to reapply it because your lube is now inside your gun. And people that understand how to winterize guns love FrogLube.
Yeah, I think from the class perspective that I see, because we hand out FrogLube in every class to the students, they donate vials, and I train, I think this year was 888 people that I trained. So you're talking a lot of vials of FrogLube going out there. And what you start to see across the board is with the ARs being suppressed and the high round counts, is that a lot of the oils, I think what Larry said is very, very important. It's not just a matter of the oil on it, it's a matter of it impregnating into the metal. And where you start to see success, at least from my point of view, is when you've done this and it's like your fourth time of applying it, it's finally embedded into the gun. Not like the first couple times it's still almost like removing carbon and things like that. So I think for the longevity, the heat that happens with those guns, I haven't seen anything else out there that can stay on the gun when it gets that hot.
It's like seasoning a good cast iron skillet. You're just treating that metal, and non-stick, it'll work every single time, but it takes a little bit of time to kind of get that treatment into the metal. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other, what I will say, a negative that comes from the FrogLube is our understanding of taking oil normally and dousing the guns with it. I'm not doing that. I mean, I'm putting a drop on my finger on my Glock, wiping the rail. That's just one rail, I'm not going a bead down the entire slide. It doesn't need that. So I think sometimes what happens is people don't read the instruction manuals and they're using this whole thing, and it's like, my gun's all locking up. It's so cakey. It doesn't need that much. That's the beauty of it. It just needs 4 little dabs on it, throw it on, wipe the barrel down, and boom, you're good. So
you prefer the liquid versus, say, maybe because it comes in a paste form as well, right? Correct?
It does. For me, in what I'm doing, I really like the liquid. I think it's a little bit faster, a little bit cleaner, and when I'm going from Glock to tight 1911s, I don't need much, and the liquid works a little bit better. Where I start to see the performance is when it gets hot, or you're in Florida, or you're in an extremely hot environment. Or for Larry, a lot of the units overseas are running in Afghanistan and Iraq in extremely hot conditions. So you don't want that lubricity to wear off the gun.
Our relationship with Chris is part of our future is around performance. And Chris demands high performance all the time, no fail, out of his weaponry. And we form partnerships around competitors, around trainers, around OEM manufacturers to drive up the performance of their weapon system.
And these guys are putting more rounds down range than most people put in a lifetime. You guys are doing a year. And so that's pretty high praise for a guy like Chris and an operator that's going to say, hey, I need a product that's going to work every single time. It's got to be reliable. And on top of that, it's biodegradable. It's not going to get all the chemical burns that you used to get from doing the dip tanks.
That's probably the biggest benefit for me, pulling out the old carb cleaner and then spraying your gun down and, not having rubber gloves with you, and to sit there and be like, all right, this stuff is actually cleaning my hands. Like as I'm starting to work and the carb's being removed and my hands start off really dirty, somewhere along the lines, my hands are clean. Yeah, there's a minty fresh smell, which makes it awesome, but it is really bizarre. I think that's the hard aspect, is just how biodegradable. It's eco-friendly, and it's hard to believe you're putting something on your gun that provides that kind of lubricity that's also friendly to the environment.
So when you have students come to your class, a lot of people are kind of set in their ways. They have opinions on just about everything: what kind of gear to run, what kind of optics to use, what kind of lube to use. So when you have your students run FrogLube, you have a lot of people, a lot of naysayers, kind of changing their mind by the end of your course.
Well, that's the thing, is that I don't have to force you. Just exactly what you said. Hey, it's here. It's available for you. You want to put it on your gun. You see it. You see how it runs. So like you sit there normally. You go to a shooting class. You've oiled your gun during the day twice at least, you know, on most applications of shooting courses. You've probably cleaned your guns at a certain point, but for me, what I look at is I know I can get clean gun, oil it with FrogLube. I know I'm at least 1,500 rounds before I need to start looking at the gun. So 1,500 rounds, and you know, everybody comes up with these crazy ammo things, right? Oh, it'll do 25, 35. Sure, I've like kept applying FrogLube and gotten up to 4,200 and higher without cleaning the gun. That's not the point. I look at it as if a student shows up with another oil and he has to keep lubing his gun multiple times, I want something that's going to sustain as long as possible. This isn't a gobstopper, but it does a really good job as far as lubricity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris, for your time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Larry. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, Chris.
Yep, absolutely.
Appreciate it, brother.